when you look at homes in Colorado, really anywhere in the country, but a lot, especially in the Denver area, you're going to find a lot of newer build communities that have what we call an HOA, a homeowner association. So people are very mixed on whether they like these or they don't. Me personally, I really like HOAs as long as they're not too restrictive and still give homeowners a reasonable level of use for their property. But the reason I really like them is because it keeps a lot of just the stuff and junk out of people's driveways. It has just this little higher standard that it requires all of the homeowners to live up to, keeping their homes looking nice, no crazy, home next door with, 2-foot long grass in the front yard, or an old abandoned car in the front yard that's up on blocks. All that stuff usually gets avoided when you have an HOA because you have this governing body to really just keep everybody in check and make sure the overall enjoyment of the community is at a high level. So definitely something though to be thinking about because this has an additional monthly cost. There's HOAs, and there's also what's known as a metro tax district. And these are also a lot of times found in these newer build communities. And typically a metro tax district is not a permanent additional expense to be planning on, but it could be for 10, 15, maybe even a 20-year term. So a lot of these new build communities, like the one I mentioned earlier down in Sterling Ranch, it had a metro tax district where you were basically paying an additional, let's just say $100 a month once that 10-year term plays out, and then all of a sudden that monthly amount you've been budgeting for will go down because that metro tax has gone away. So something to be considering. But when it comes to HOAs, this is a very significant just difference in dollar amount from one area to the next. A lot of the times you'll find HOAs, that have a lot of amenities. Maybe it's a couple clubhouses, maybe it's just the enjoyment of different trails and parks and all that good stuff. That's what it's like where I'm at in Grant Ranch. But also you'll find some that even have multiple HOAs. So another thing that's really important to be keeping your eye on when looking at homes. A good example of a higher monthly HOA that I just came across a couple weeks ago is in Highlands Ranch, which is actually the largest master plan community in the entire city of Denver. It's just southeast of where I'm at in Littleton. And in this Highlands Ranch area, this master plan community, they have all these different pockets of homes, all with their own smaller subdivisions. And one of these is called Backcountry. Backcountry is awesome. It's one of my favorites in the Highlands Ranch area. And they actually have 2 HOAs because they have the main HOA that just covers the entire Highlands Ranch area. There's 4 different clubhouses that you can use with that. And since there's so many homes in a larger HOA like Highlands Ranch, the monthly fee on that one's not too bad. It might be only about $150 to $200 a quarter, so every 3 months. But when we're talking about this backcountry subdivision in Highlands Ranch, what makes this one more expensive is it has its whole separate secured entrance with an attendant that checks all the cars that are driving through. And it also has its own additional clubhouse that's only available for backcountry residents. So this one is like an additional $500 a month just for that second HOA. So between the two, you're looking at, close to $550, $600 a month just in that HOA fee. So long story short, it's just really important to understand that this can vary significantly, kind of like the property tax rates. And it's just something that you really need to be at least conscious of when you start looking at homes and knowing what that dollar amount is per month for everything that you're comfortable paying. And then that's going to affect what types of homes we go out and look at if you decide to come out and tour the neighborhood with me. So something else just to keep in mind, and we can talk through this in a lot more depth if you ever want to on a one-on-one strategy call. If you ever want to do that, I'll put the link down below.